Thanks. We're really happy.
I didn't know what else to say. I felt like my heart had been ripped out of my chest. My best friend was dating my crush. How could this have happened? Luckily, Layla walked in at that moment.
Sally, we've missed you so much. It's so good to have you back.
Thanks. It's good to be home. I've missed you all. I'm not really sure how I managed to get through the rest of the afternoon. I tried to put on a brave face, but inside my heart was breaking. I managed to keep it all inside, but when I got home, I couldn't contain it any longer. I ran up to my room and burst into tears. Of all the people for Jack to start dating? I lay in my bed and sobbed my heart out. Why did this have to happen to me? The next time I met up with Hannah, Jack, and Layla, I couldn't help but feel jealous. It wasn't fair. I had liked Jack for such a long time. I felt sure that if Hannah wasn't around, he would date me. We were going to the movies, just the four of us. Hannah and I waited in line to buy the tickets, whilst Jack and Layla went to get some popcorn and drinks for us.
Sally, I still can't get over how brown you are. Your skin looks amazing.
Thanks. Yeah, I guess I do look good. Better than being a sickly pale color like you. Hannah looked at me in shock. I could see the hurt in her eyes.
Sally, that was a bit of a mean thing to say.
Well, it's true. You look so pasty. Hannah didn't speak to me after that. Well, I didn't care. It wasn't my fault if she couldn't handle the truth. When we went to take our seats, I made sure that I sat next to Jack. And as we sat watching the movie, I began daydreaming that he would put his arm around me. But of course, he didn't. Because Hannah was there to spoil everything. I would just have to get him on my own sometime. If Hannah was out of the way, he would surely realize that it was me that he liked. The following week, I was sitting at home watching TV when my phone rang. I picked it up and saw that it was Jack calling. Hi, Jack. What are you up to?
Hi, Sally. I was just calling to invite you over to my house tomorrow for a barbecue.
My heart skipped a beat. Finally, I would have a chance to talk to him alone. That'd be great. Who else is coming?
Oh, just Layla and Hannah, of course.
My heart dropped. Oh, sorry. I can't make it. I just remembered I've got plans. There was no way I was spending my time watching those two cozying up together. I don't know if Jack realized I'd changed my mind when I knew Hannah was going to be there. If he did, he didn't say anything.
Oh, that's a shame, Sally. Maybe another time.
I tried to avoid Hannah and Jack as much as possible, but we lived in a small town and it was virtually impossible not to bump into them. When I did see them together, I tried to keep my feelings hidden, but eventually I couldn't take it any longer. We were at a party, and they were cuddling up together, being all lovey-dovey. I was sitting with Layla when I suddenly burst out crying. Layla? I can't believe it!
What's wrong? Why are you crying?
It's Hannah and Jack.
What about them?
I told Layla all about my secret crush on Jack. I've liked him for such a long time. And finally, when I pluck up the courage to tell him, I find out he's dating my best friend. Layla put her arms around me and gave me a hug.
Oh, Sally. I don't know what to say to make it better, but I promise I'm going to take your mind off Jack. We're going to do lots of fun stuff together. If you keep busy, then I'm sure you'll soon forget about him.
I smiled at Layla. You're a good friend. I don't know what I'd do without you.
Listen, I've got an idea. You love horror stuff, don't you?
I nodded. It was true. Ever since I was a kid, I had been obsessed with everything horror. From horror movies to spooky places, everything.
Well, I know about this haunted house. Why don't we go and check it out tomorrow?
What do you mean, haunted? What have you heard about it?
Oh, lots of people have said they've seen weird stuff there. People have gone missing. There are even rumors about an old man dying there, and his body was never found.
It sounded like it could be fun, and I definitely needed something to take my mind off Hannah and Jack. So I agreed to go with Layla. When we got to the house, it didn't look any different to the other houses around it. In fact, you would describe it as pretty ordinary. It was on a tree-lined street. Every house had a white picket fence at the front and flowers growing in the garden. Are you sure this is the right place? It doesn't look very haunted.
It's definitely this house. I've heard so many people talking about it.
Are you two looking for the haunted house too?
Said a deep voice behind us. I turned around and saw a tall, dark-haired boy standing there. Yes. Have we got the right place?
Yes, this is it. I've been standing here trying to decide whether I'm brave enough to go in on my own.
I looked at his sparkling eyes. I couldn't tell if he was serious or just joking around. You can come in with us if you want.
Thanks, that would be great. I'm Michael, by the way.
I'm Sally, and this is Layla. Michael smiled at me. He was actually really cute, in an obvious kind of way.
Come on then, girls. It's now or never.
We followed Michael up the pathway to the front door. Michael tried to open the door, but it was locked.
Maybe there's another entrance around the back.
Ah!
I looked at Layla. Her face was white as a sheet, and she was pointing to the floor. When I realized what she had seen, I started screaming too. Red liquid that looked exactly like blood was seeping through the crack in the door. I turned to Michael, but he was freaking out.
Let's get out of here!
The three of us ran down the street as fast as we could.
Where are we going?
Asked Michael. Come with us. We're gonna tell our friends what we saw. We went straight to Hannah's house. When she opened up the door, she took one look at our faces and told us to come in.
Did you go to the haunted house? What happened?
We told Hannah about the blood coming out of the door.
Oh my god. No wonder you all look so scared. Jack's in the lounge. You go through there, and I'll make you all a cup of tea.
We went through to the lounge, but we didn't get a chance to tell Jack what had happened. As soon as he saw Michael, he jumped up and started yelling.
What do you think you're doing here? Get out of my sight. Go on, get out of here.
Layla and I looked at Jack in shock. We had no idea what had gotten into him. He was usually such a calm and placid kind of guy. What's going on, Jack?
I'll tell you what's going on. He's a liar, and I wouldn't trust him as far as I could throw him.
Do you two know each other?
Yes, unfortunately, I do know him. He used to be my best friend. Well, I thought he was until he cheated with my ex-girlfriend.
You're the liar. You two weren't even dating when I took her out.
With that, Jack lunged at Michael. The two of them started punching each other, with blows to the head and body. Stop it, you two, stop it! Hannah came running in when she heard the commotion.
Jack, what are you doing?
Hannah pulled Jack away from Michael. Jack just attacked Michael for no reason.
I'm sure Jack wouldn't do that.
Oh, you weren't here. We saw everything, didn't we, Layla? Layla looked at Hannah and I.
I'm not really sure what went on. I don't really want to take sides.
Hannah, I'm telling you the truth. Michael did nothing wrong. Jack just pounced on him.
I think you'd better go, Sally, and take your new friend with you.
I looked at Hannah and Jack. Okay, fine by me. Come on, Michael. You can come back to my house and I'll get you cleaned up. Michael and I left and we went back to my house. You're gonna have a black eye in the morning, you know. I cleaned up Michael's wounds as best as I could.
What Jack said isn't true. You do believe me, don't you?
Yes, I believe you. And anyway, Jack is with Hannah now, so I don't know why he's getting all upset over his ex-girlfriend.
I think she may have broken his heart. That's why he took it so badly. They had been finished for a long time when I took her out. We only went on a couple of dates. It was nothing serious. Definitely not something worth fighting over. Of course, if it was you that I'd been dating, I could understand him wanting to fight me.
I looked at Michael and blushed. Was he flirting with me? Before I had a chance to say anything, I heard a loud hammering at the front door. When I opened the door, I saw Layla standing there. She was gasping for breath. She had obviously been running. Layla? What's the matter?
The police have just been to my house. They want me to come in for questioning.
What? Why?
They said that Hannah and Jack are missing.
What? Want to know what happens next? Stay tuned to our channel for episode 2. In the meantime, comment down your predictions on what happened to Hannah and Jack below.
Well, I know about this haunted house. Why don't we go and check it out tomorrow?
Are you two looking for the haunted house too?
Ah!
Let's get out of here!
What's going on, Jack?
He's a liar, and I wouldn't trust him as far as I could throw him.
The police have just been to my house. They want me to come in for questioning. They said that Hannah and Jack are missing.
What?
It's just not going to be the same without you here. I'm going to miss you so much. My best friend Sally was going to live in Spain, virtually the other side of the world.
You'll still have Jack and Layla, and we can talk every day.
I know, but it won't be the same as having you here.
It won't be forever. Maybe you could come out to visit me in Spain.
I knew there was no chance of that happening, but it was a nice thought. Yeah, you never know. Sally flew off to Spain the following day. Jack, Layla, and I went to the airport to see her off. I couldn't stop the tears from flowing. Jack put his arm around me and gave me a hug.
Cheer up. You've still got us.
I smiled at him and joked, "That's what's worrying me."
Oh, you know you love me, really.
The next few years flew by. I started spending a lot of time with Jack. Layla was busy helping her family most of the time, so it was often just the two of us. I hadn't realized before how cute Jack was. He was really funny, too. It wasn't long before I started having feelings for him. It all came to a head one hot, sunny afternoon in July. I was at Jack's house, sitting in the garden, when he came out of the house and threw a bucket of cold water all over me.
I thought you might want to cool down.
I squealed, then jumped up and chased after him. When I eventually caught him, we fell in the grass laughing. Suddenly, he stopped laughing and looked me in the eyes.
Hannah, I think I'm falling in love with you.
My heart jumped for joy, and I could barely get my words out. I feel the same way. But before I go on, make sure you like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you do, you might fall in love with your best friend too. Jack and I became serious really quickly. I didn't mention it to Sally when I spoke to her. I don't really know why, but I felt a bit guilty. I suppose it was because I had always had a sneaky suspicion that Sally secretly had a crush on Jack. But Sally wasn't here. She was having the time of her life in Spain, so why shouldn't I have some happiness too? After all, Sally always got everything she wanted. It was my turn to be a bit selfish and have something that I wanted. I was so happy when I got the phone call from Sally telling me that she was coming home. She had been away for 5 years, and even though I had Jack, I still missed my chats with my best friend. I wasn't nervous about telling Sally I was dating Jack. I was sure she would be happy for me. But once she found out, things began to change. She started being really mean to me. She made any excuse she could not to hang out with me. One time, the four of us had gone to the movies. Jack and Layla went to get drinks, while Sally and I waited in the queue to buy the tickets. Sally, I still can't get over how brown you are. Your skin looks amazing.
Thanks. Yeah, I guess I do look good. Better than being a sickly pale color like you.
I couldn't believe my ears. Sally had always been so nice to me. Why would she say something so nasty? Sally, that was a bit of a mean thing to say.
Well, it's true. You look so pasty.
I didn't speak to Sally for the rest of the evening, and she didn't speak to me either. Actually, she spent most of the time chatting to Jack. The following week, I was at Jack's house when he said that he was planning on having a barbecue.
I'll ring Sally to see if she can come.
Said Jack. She made any excuse she could not to hang out with me. One time, the four of us had gone to the movies. Jack and Layla went to get drinks, while Sally and I waited in the queue to buy the tickets. Sally, I still can't get over how brown you are. Your skin looks amazing.
Thanks. Yeah, I guess I do look good. Better than being a sickly pale color like you.
I couldn't believe my ears. Sally had always been so nice to me. Why would she say something so nasty? Sally, that was a bit of a mean thing to say.
Well, it's true. You look so pasty.
I didn't speak to Sally for the rest of the evening, and she didn't speak to me either. Actually, she spent most of the time chatting to Jack. The following week, I was at Jack's house when he said that he was planning on having a barbecue.
I'll ring Sally to see if she can come.
Said Jack.
Hi, Sally. I'm just calling to invite you over to my house tomorrow for a barbecue.
I could hear Sally's voice say,
That'd be great. Who else is coming?
Oh, just Layla and Hannah, of course.
Oh, sorry. I can't make it. I just remembered. I've got plans.
Oh, that's a shame, Sally. Maybe another time.
Jack put down the phone.
Sally's busy, so it will just be the three of us.
I didn't say anything to Jack, but I felt sure that Sally was lying about having plans. It was only when Jack had said that I was going to be there that she changed her mind. I began to wonder if Sally was avoiding me because of Jack. But surely she wouldn't be that obsessed. She hadn't even spoken that much to Jack before she left for Spain. It was a few weeks later, and I was at home, when I heard a knock at the door. I opened the door and saw Sally, Layla, and some guy standing there. They all looked scared to death. I told them to come in. Did you go to the haunted house? What happened? They told me they had gone to the house and had seen blood coming out of the front door. Oh my god! No wonder you all look so scared. Jack's in the lounge. You go through there and I'll make you all a cup of tea. I went to the kitchen. I was just about to put the kettle on when I heard a commotion from the lounge. When I went through to see what was happening, I couldn't believe it. Jack was fighting with the guy that had come with Sally and Layla. Sally and I eventually managed to separate them, but not before they both had inflicted some wounds on each other. I told Sally that I thought she ought to leave and take her friend with her. Jack told me all about the other guy. Michael, his name was. I figured Sally would choose to hang out with someone like him, but then I felt sad. Sally and I used to be best friends. How could a guy have come between us? I had just begun to clean up Jack's wounds when I heard a noise coming from outside. What was that noise?
I don't know. I'll go have a look.
Be careful, it's dark out there. Jack went outside to investigate. I waited and waited for him to come back, but he didn't. I started to get really worried and wanted to call Sally for help, but seeing as we weren't getting on that great, I decided not to. I felt too scared to go outside on my own. Instead, I went over to the window and looked out. A face had suddenly appeared at my window, making me jump out of my skin. It was a woman with long hair. Ah! I let out a loud scream. At the same time, the window smashed to pieces, and the light in the room went out. I couldn't see a thing in the dark. I was trying to grope around for the light switch when I suddenly felt someone's hands go over my mouth. Then, everything went black.
I opened the door and saw Layla standing there. Layla, what's the matter?
The police have just been to my house. They want me to come in for questioning.
What? Why?
They said that Hannah and Jack are missing.
What? Wait here. I'll go get Michael and we can go look for them. I shouted for Michael to come with us. We have to go to Hannah's house. Her and Jack have gone missing. Maybe we can help to find them.
What do you mean they're missing?
The police have just been to Layla's house. They said that Hannah and Jack have disappeared. They can't find them anywhere. The three of us went straight to Hannah's house. But when we got there, the place was sealed off and the police were all over the place. Excuse me, we're friends of Hannah and Jack. Have you found them yet?
No, we haven't. Maybe you can answer some questions for us.
I nodded. I was feeling really guilty because we had just had a fight with Hannah and Jack. I wanted to do anything I could to help find them. Of course, we will do anything we can to help. The policeman led us over to another policeman who was taking notes.
These three are friends of the missing people. I want you to interview them now.
The policeman asked the three of us a bunch of questions. I'm not sure that we helped them at all, but he seemed happy with what we told him.
Thanks, you've been really helpful. You can go now.
I thought that Michael would come back to my house with us, but when we got to the end of the street, he stopped.
I think I'll just go straight home now. I'm sure you two would rather be alone to chat.
Oh, okay. Bye then.
Yeah, bye. See you soon.
When he had gone, Layla turned to me.
I'm sure he's got something to do with this.
That's crazy. Of course he hasn't. Why would he want to harm them? But even though I said the words, I had some doubts myself.
Michael has a motive, after all. He fought with Jack, and maybe he wanted to get both Jack and Hannah out of the picture so he can be with you.
I wasn't entirely convinced about what Layla was saying, but I was getting a little suspicious. The following day, I got a phone call from Michael.
Hi, Sally. Do you want to come over to my house and hang out?
Butterflies started fluttering in my stomach. Is he asking me out on a date? But then a thought crept into my head. What if he was the kidnapper? What if he really had made Hannah and Jack disappear? But I really liked Michael, so I decided I would take a risk. That sounds great. I'd love to come over. When I got to Michael's house, he looked really happy to see me.
Hi, Sally. Come in, come in.
Any doubts that I had immediately vanished once I saw him. I knew that Michael was a good guy. He definitely wouldn't have had anything to do with their disappearance. He showed me through to the lounge and I sat down.
Do you want to watch a movie or something?
Sure. That sounds great.
I'll just get you a drink. I won't be a minute.
Michael went out to the kitchen. I began to look around the room. There were photos of his family dotted everywhere. Suddenly, I spotted something that made my heart sink. Hanging on the edge of a chair was a red bandana. But not just any old bandana. I would recognize that bandana anywhere. It belonged to Hannah. Why have you got Hannah's bandana in your house? It was you, wasn't it? You were the one that made Hannah and Jack disappear. Where are they? Tell me now.
No, it's not me. I have no idea where they are. How could you accuse me of such a thing?
I don't believe you. I know you have done something to my friends. I ran out of his house as fast as I could and went straight to Layla's house. Layla, I think you might be right. I think Michael is the one that has done something to Hannah and Jack. He's got Hannah's bandana in his house.
What are we going to do?
We should call the police. Let them deal with it. I was just about to pick up the phone when Michael's face suddenly appeared at the window. Layla and I both jumped, and Layla let out a scream.
Let me in, please. I promise I'll explain everything.
I looked at Layla to see what she thought.
I don't think we should do it. He might be dangerous. What if he kidnaps us too?
Come on, Layla. He deserves a chance to tell his side of the story. Let's just listen to what he has to say. Layla finally agreed to hear him out. I opened the door and told him to come inside. Okay, you've got 5 minutes to explain yourself, or I'm calling the police.
I've known Hannah for a long time. She often came to my house for tutoring. She must have left her bandana there one time.
What Michael had said did sound very plausible, and I felt a bit foolish for jumping to conclusions. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have accused you like that. Of course I believe you. I didn't know if Layla believed him or not, because before she had a chance to say anything, the door burst open and police came pouring in. They grabbed hold of Michael and put handcuffs on him.
You're under arrest for suspicion of causing the disappearance of Hannah and Jack.
I looked at Layla in shock. What's going on? I was so confused.
No, it's not true. I'm innocent. You have to believe me. You'll have plenty of time to plead your innocence once we get you down to the station.
The policeman took Michael away, and I sat down on the sofa next to Layla. I don't know what to believe. Michael sounded so convincing when he said he had nothing to do with it. What do you think?
I don't know either, but surely the police wouldn't arrest him if they didn't have enough evidence.
I can't believe what has happened in such a short space of time. And the biggest question is, where are Hannah and Jack? We both sat there in silence, deep in thought, when the ringing of the doorbell brought us back to reality. I went and opened the door, but when I saw who was standing there, my jaw dropped in shock. If you want to know what happens next, stay tuned to our channel for episode 3. What do you think? Is Michael innocent or guilty? Comment your thoughts down below. Who are you? I asked the girl standing in the doorway.
I'm Amber.
Sorry, do I know you?
I'm Jack's ex-girlfriend.
I realized that this was the girl that Jack had dated, the one that had caused him to fight with Michael.
I'm looking for Michael.
Why? What do you want to speak with Michael about?
I just need to speak to him about something.
Well, I'm sorry, you can't.
What do you mean I can't? You can't stop me from speaking to him.
You're right, I can't. But the police can. He's under arrest right now. Amber looked at me. She seemed really shocked.
Under arrest? What for? Is there anything I can do to help?
You'd better come in, and we'll explain everything. I took Amber through to where Layla was. Layla, this is Amber, Jack's ex-girlfriend. But, hold up. Have you subscribed to the channel yet? What are you waiting for? Subscribe now. Give this video a big thumbs up and smash that notification bell too. Alright, back to the video. Layla and I began to tell Amber the whole story. All about Jack and Hannah's disappearance and Michael's arrest. As we related all the recent events, she looked at us in disbelief.
Look, if there's anything I can do to help, I will. I just really can't believe Michael would do anything like that.
I think it might be a good idea for the 3 of us to pay Michael a visit. Maybe between us, we can finally find out the truth.
That's a great idea. Let's go there now.
The 3 of us went straight to the police station. You arrested our friend Michael, but we're sure that he's innocent. Do you even have any evidence against him?
Actually, we do. We found strands of both Jack and Hannah's hair in Michael's basement. That proves that they had been there at some time. We still haven't managed to locate them, so for the meantime, Michael is our only suspect.
Can we see him, please? The policeman asked us to take a seat whilst he went to check with his boss to see if it was okay for us to visit Michael. Layla, that sounds really suspicious, doesn't it? Okay, Hannah's hair could have gotten there when she went to do the tutoring. But how did a strand of Jack's hair get there?
I know. That's exactly what I thought too. It does make it look as though Michael's the one that's done it.
The policeman came back in.
Okay, you can go and speak with him, but an officer will be present all the time.
Thank you. He led the 3 of us through to a room where Michael was waiting. When he saw Amber was with us, his face fell in shock.
Amber, what are you doing here?
Michael, I can't believe all this. I just came to tell you that I miss you so much. I've never stopped loving you. Can't we get back together?
I looked at Amber. Well, this is news to me, I thought. She hadn't mentioned anything to us about wanting to get back with Michael. We just thought she wanted to help him out.
It's too late, Amber.
Please don't say that. I'll do whatever it takes. I just want you back.
You broke my heart, Amber.
I know, and I'm sorry. I promise I will make it up to you. Just give me a chance.
I'm sorry, Amber. I can't do that.
Why not?
Because I've met someone else.
Who?
Michael turned and looked at me. My stomach turned over and my cheeks went bright red. I couldn't help liking him, but I had to remember that he could still be the kidnapper. Amber turned and stared at me. She had a strange glint in her eye for a minute, which sent a shiver of fear through my body. But in a second, it was gone. I wondered if it had been my imagination. But there was no doubt that something had definitely scared me.
Please, Sally, Layla, you have to help me prove my innocence.
I began to replay in my mind the events of the evening Jack and Hannah had disappeared. Wait, I think I might have it. Michael looked at me hopefully.
What is it?
The night that Jack and Hannah disappeared, you were at my house, with me. Remember I was cleaning your wounds? Layla, you can confirm that, can't you? You came straight to my house after the police told you about their disappearance. You saw that Michael was with me, right?
Yes, Michael was definitely at your house when I got there. And if you're saying that you were with him for the whole time since you left Jack and Hannah, then he has an alibi.
Yes, that's true. I was with you the whole time. There's no way I could have had anything to do with it.
Come on, Layla. We have to tell the police. We went and told our story to the officer at the front desk. They asked us to make an official statement, and thankfully, they believed what we told them.
You're a lucky lad, Michael. Your friends have provided you with an alibi, so you're free to go.
Michael grinned like a Cheshire cat.
Thank you so much.
The four of us left the police station together. Even though it's fantastic news that they have let Michael go, it doesn't change the fact that Jack and Hannah are still missing. We can't just sit around here waiting for news. We have to look for them ourselves. First thing tomorrow morning, we will start searching for them. The next morning, the four of us met up at 7 a.m. We'll be able to cover more ground if we split up. I'll go with Michael. Layla, you and Amber go together, okay? Layla could see that I didn't want Michael to go with Amber, so she agreed.
Good idea. Okay, let's meet back here at 12 o'clock.
We searched and searched, but we couldn't find any sign of either Jack or Hannah. We went to all their usual hangouts, knocked on all friends' doors, and showed their photos to passerbys in the street. Nobody had seen anything of them. It's no good. It's like they've vanished into thin air. What are we going to do?
Come on, Sally. Don't give up hope. I'm sure they'll turn up soon. Look, it's nearly 12. We'd better head back now. We can start searching again this afternoon.
We went back to my house. When we arrived, Layla and Amber were waiting outside. Any luck? Layla shook her head.
No, we've looked everywhere I could think of, but we couldn't find them.
Come on inside. I'll make you all some lunch. I went inside and made some sandwiches for us. But when we sat down to eat, there was a strange atmosphere in the air. I could sense that Amber didn't like me. She was really cold towards me whenever I said anything to her. How's your sandwich, Amber?
It's okay. I've had better.
I knew that Amber was probably feeling a bit jealous of me. Michael had made it quite clear that I was the one that he liked, and she probably thought if it wasn't for me, then Michael would get back with her. I started to feel a bit guilty, especially when I remembered how I treated Hannah when I found out she was dating Jack. I really wish that I could have a chance to apologize to Hannah. I just want us to be best friends again, I thought. Maybe if I find out what really happened with Amber and Michael, then Hannah and I can get back on track. Amber, would you mind answering a question for me? Amber gave me a strange look. She was probably suspicious of me, but I just had to know the truth. Were you still dating Jack when you and Michael got together?
Oh, no. Jack and I were definitely finished. Well, as far as I was concerned, anyway. I told Jack it was over, but he wasn't prepared to accept it. I admit I probably started dating Michael a bit too quickly, but I honestly never cheated on Jack.
So Michael has been telling the truth all along, I thought.
I do feel a bit guilty for dating Amber so soon after her and Jack had broken up. I suppose I didn't consider that he might still have feelings for her. I feel really bad. I still want to be friends with Jack. I hope that once we find him, that we can sort all of this out.
I felt so much better after hearing what Amber and Michael had said. Michael does seem like he's a really nice guy. Maybe I should give him a chance, I thought. I began to clear all the plates, but Michael stood up, saying,
No, Sally, you sit down. I'll wash the pots.
Amber jumped up too.
I'll help you, Michael.
The two of them went off to the kitchen, leaving me sitting at the table with Layla. I can't just sit here while they're doing all the work. I'm gonna go give them a hand. I went through to the kitchen, but what I saw stopped me in my tracks. Michael and Amber were kissing in the kitchen. You jerk! How could you do this to me in my own house? I thought you were different, but Jack is right. You're a cheat. Tears began pouring down my cheeks. I wasn't going to hang around and let them see how upset I was. I ran straight past Layla and out of the house onto the street. I heard Layla calling out to me as I went by.
Sally, what's the matter? What happened?
I didn't answer her. I thought I would choke on my words if I had to speak. I felt like such a fool. Michael had obviously just been playing with my heart, and I had been stupid enough to believe him. I could hear them all calling me to come back in, even Amber, but I just ignored them. I went further down the street and hid behind a dumpster. I didn't want to face any of them, especially not Michael. I had been there for a couple of minutes when I heard footsteps approaching. Michael, but it wasn't Michael. It was Amber. She sniggered when she saw me. Her facade of kindness had disappeared and been replaced by something quite evil.
Michael will never love you. How could he? You're ugly, you're dumb, and you're boring. He loves me.
Her words tore into my heart. I felt so hurt at first, but then the hurt turned to anger. I'm not ugly, and I'm not dumb. I'm perfect just the way I am. I stood up and slapped Amber as hard as I could, straight across her face. I felt the sting on my cheek as she slapped me back. We started rolling on the floor, throwing punches at each other. The next thing I knew, I felt Layla grab me from behind. Michael had grabbed hold of Amber at the same time.
Stop, Sally. She's not worth it. You're better than her.
Layla was right. I didn't need to lower myself to be fighting over Michael. You two are welcome to each other. I don't care about either of you. I ran off down the street. I just wanted to get away from both of them. But eventually I couldn't run any further. I stopped to take a breath. As I stood there, my heart pounding in my chest, I heard someone coming up behind me. I turned and saw that it was Michael. Just leave me alone. I never want to see you again.
Sally, please don't go. I can explain.
Explain what, exactly? I saw you kissing her.
No, you didn't.
Don't make me out to be crazy. I know what I saw with my own eyes.
Yes, you're right. You saw a kiss. But I wasn't kissing Amber. She was kissing me.
Same difference.
No, it isn't. Amber made a move on me, but I was pushing her away from me. I didn't want to kiss her. I don't even like her.
I looked at Michael. I didn't know what to think. My head was telling me not to believe a word he had to say, to run from him and never look back. But my heart was telling me something else.
Sally, it's you I like. I've liked you since the moment I met you. I don't want anything to do with Amber. It's you that I want.
I started blushing again. I so wanted what he was saying to be the truth.
You do believe me, don't you?
Yes, I believe you.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you like me too.
It was true. I did like him, and I couldn't fight it any longer. I had to give him a chance. Yes, I like you too. Michael put his arms around me and gave me a hug.
Okay, let's start this thing out properly then. Would you like to go on a date with me?
Yes, I would like that. Very much. I was so happy. Michael and I had finally confessed our feelings for each other. But my happiness was short-lived. Who knew that in just a few days from then, I would be forced to fight for my life? Want to know what happens next? Stay tuned to the channel for the 4th and final episode. Trust me, you do not want to miss out. What happens next is unbelievable. Michael and I went home. I couldn't wait to tell Layla that we were dating. But when we arrived, we got the shock of our lives. The front door was wide open, and the place was full of broken glass. Layla was nowhere to be seen. Michael, what's going on? This is starting to really scare me.
I don't know, Sally. Let's see if we can see anything inside.
I followed Michael into the house. The whole place looked like a bomb had hit it. Tables and chairs were turned on their sides, and the window was broken. There were belongings scattered everywhere. As I walked through to the kitchen, the first thing I saw was a note on the table. I picked it up and read it. I felt sick when I realized that it appeared to have been written in blood.
If you want your friends back, come and get them. Oh, and don't bother calling the cops. If you do, you'll never see your friends again. Amber.
Below the words, a drawing of a house was made in blood. But before I go on, make sure you like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you don't, your friends might get kidnapped too. You don't want that, right?
Oh my god, I can't believe it. It was Amber that was behind the kidnapping all along.
We should call the cops.
What do you think the house drawing means?
Michael's face turned gray.
Oh god, I think that's it. She must be holding them at the haunted house. I think we better go there and see what we can find out.
Even though the last place I wanted to go back to was that house, I knew we had no choice. We had to find our friends. Michael and I headed straight over to the house. We walked through the gate and into the garden. The gate made an eerie noise as it swung back on its hinges. And when it slammed back shut, I nearly jumped out of my skin. I stood close to Michael. The hairs on my arms stood up on end. Should we go inside?
I think we have to. Follow me.
I watched as Michael pushed the front door of the house open. He peered inside, but couldn't see anyone. I followed him in. I had only just stepped inside when the door slammed shut behind me, as though someone had been standing there waiting for us. But we couldn't see anyone. We went into the living room. It looked like no one had been there for a very long time. There was an old-fashioned fireplace. The mantelpiece above it had an inch of dust on it. In the corner was a table with a family portrait on it, and on the opposite side of the room was an old leather couch. I noticed that the TV was switched on, but there was only static on the screen. All of a sudden, the screen flickered and a scary face appeared on it. We both screamed and ran out of the room and into the kitchen. My heart was beating so fast that I thought it would explode in my chest. But what we saw in the kitchen was even worse. The doors on the kitchen cupboards were swinging back and forth, and knives were floating in the air, racing towards us. Michael grabbed hold of my hand and pulled me out of the kitchen.
Come on, let's hide in the bathroom.
We ran into the bathroom, and Michael locked the door. I started sobbing. I was so frightened. Michael put his arms around me to comfort me.
Don't worry, Sally. I won't let anyone hurt you.
I began to calm down. But just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, they did. Michael and I looked in the mirror and saw the reflection of a ghost standing behind us. We both screamed so loud. Michael unlocked the door and we ran out of the bathroom and up the stairs. When we got to the hallway, we both suddenly froze. I looked at Michael. Can you hear what I hear? He nodded.
Yes.
It was the sound of children laughing. Slowly, we turned around. At the end of the hallway, we could see a little girl standing there. She started running towards us. We both screamed again and ran into one of the bedrooms to try to get away from her. Michael closed the door behind us, and we sat down on the bed to catch our breath. Michael, this place is terrifying. And there's no sign of Jack, Hannah, or Layla.
I'm more concerned about where Amber is, or what she might do next.
Do you think it's her that's behind all of these illusions? The knives flying through the air and the little girl in the hallway? They're not really ghosts, right? But before Michael had a chance to answer my question, he let out another scream and jumped off the bed. He grabbed me and pulled me off the bed, too.
Something just grabbed my leg.
What? Are you sure? Maybe he just imagined it. Your nerves must be on edge.
I didn't imagine it. I definitely felt someone grab me. Come on, we gotta get out of here.
We were just about to leave the room when something made us stop. Lo and behold, Layla crawled out from under the bed.
Layla, how did you get there? Are you okay?
I'm okay. I managed to escape and I ran and hid under the bed in here. Sorry about that scare, Michael. It's just, when I saw you, I was so happy to see someone. Amber is keeping Jack and Hannah in a locked cage. We have to save them.
Oh, Michael, this is insane. I'm scared out of my wits. Michael pulled me towards him and put his arms around me.
Come on, Sally. Everything will be okay. I promise you.
As Michael comforted me, I thought I saw a strange look pass over Layla's face. What's that all about? I thought. But as soon as I saw it, the look vanished. Maybe just my mind playing tricks with me, I thought. Wait, what's that noise?
It sounds like voices coming from underneath us.
Is there a basement in this building, do you think?
Come on, we'd better go and look.
Layla and I followed Michael down the stairs. We noticed another set of stairs in the corner of the kitchen leading down to the basement. The stairs were made from stone and led down to a dark wooden door. It didn't look like it had been used very often. Spider cobwebs were in every corner, and mold was growing up the walls.
Come on, let's go inside.
I'm not sure this is a good idea, Michael, I said, but I followed him and Layla into the basement. As soon as we entered the basement, we could see the outlines of a cage in the middle of the room. Michael reached out and felt for the light switch. As soon as the room was lit up, I could see that Jack and Hannah were locked inside the cage.
Sally! Michael, help us!
Hannah! Jack! Are you alright? I was so pleased to see them both alive and safe. At one point, I had thought that I might never see them again. It was such a relief. All I wanted to do was apologize to Hannah and make up with her. But suddenly, I noticed there was someone else in the cage with them. It was Amber. I couldn't believe my eyes. What was she doing locked up in the cage?
Please, help me.
Amber! But you're the kidnapper. Why are you in there?
I'm not the kidnapper, you idiot. She is.
Amber was pointing straight at Layla. I looked at her in confusion. Then, when I turned to Layla, I gasped. Her face was covered in shadows, so I couldn't see her reaction, but something had changed. It was then that I realized that I had never even known the real Layla. Suddenly, out of nowhere, Layla lunged at Michael. He yelped, and then she started punching and hitting him. I don't know where she found the strength from, but she managed to overpower Michael and pushed him into the cage. She locked the door on the four of them. Why, Layla? Why would you do such a thing?
I did this for you, Sally. Jack and Hannah were making you sad, so I got rid of them.
But this is crazy.
No, it's not. With them out of the way, you can be happy. You have me. I'll be the only friend you'll ever need.
But what about Amber and Michael? Why have you locked them up too?
Amber hurt you. I couldn't let her get away with it. And as for Michael, he's just a distraction. He's stopping you from realizing what a good friend I am. I would do anything for you, Sally. I love you.
You don't love me. If you loved me, you wouldn't lock my friends up. Let them go. Layla looked down.
I can't do that.
I didn't recognize my friend anymore. I couldn't believe that she was the one responsible for all this madness. I had to do something about it. I pounced on Layla and managed to push her to the floor. Before she had time to jump up, I ran to the cage and unlocked it. Jack, Hannah, Michael, and Amber came running out. The five of us made a circle around Layla. She looked scared when she saw that we were all against her. We picked her up and put her into the cage and locked the door. We all started hugging each other. I was so happy that everyone was safe. But the fact that Layla had betrayed us all still shocked me to my core. Layla, we were good friends. But after what you've done, we will never be friends again. Layla started crying. I felt bad when I heard her tears, but then I remembered what she had put everyone through. I realized then that Layla must have faked the note too. She probably signed Amber's name to throw us off. But it was still so shocking to me. It's safe to say that that was the biggest shock of my life.
Let's just let the police deal with her.
Michael called the police. Within a few minutes, we heard the sirens and the police came running into the house.
No one's hurt. This is the girl that's responsible for the kidnapping.
The police opened the cage and put Layla in handcuffs. They led her out of the house and we followed them out. Just before they put her into the car, Michael asked her,
Layla, I just don't get it. How did you make all those illusions and tricks?
Layla looked confused.
What tricks?
You know, the floating knives, the woman in the mirror, the TV.
Layla still looked confused.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The police put her into the car and drove her away. The four of us looked at each other. We were all stunned. We all turned and looked at the haunted house. It couldn't be real, right? There was no way. The little girl, the TV, the kitchen, it had to be some sort of illusion. Some sort of trick. Layla was just lying, right? But as the police car drove away and Layla disappeared from view, I couldn't shake the feeling that she really was telling the truth. Which meant I shook my head and tried to shake away the creepy feeling inching up my spine. The kidnappings were already so much to deal with. I wasn't going to think too much about the things we had seen in that house. Hannah, I'm so sorry for falling out with you. You are my best friend. I shouldn't have let Michael and Jack come between us.
I feel the same, Sally. Let's agree to never let anything like this happen again.
Hannah and I hugged each other. It felt so good to be friends with her again. I just hoped that Michael and Jack could settle their differences too. But I didn't need to worry. As I looked over Hannah's shoulder, I could see them both fist bumping each other. I knew at that moment that everything was going to be fine. Amber was still crying and seemed like she was still in shock from what had happened. I felt a bit sorry for her. It's okay, Amber. Don't cry anymore. You're safe now. Amber smiled at me through her tears.
Thank you, Sally. That means so much to me. I was so mean to you, and all you've done is be nice to me. I hope you can forgive me.
Listen, we have all been through a lot in such a short space of time. This is the kind of thing that can make us friends for life. We turned away from the house in that crazy ordeal. But before I turned, I could have sworn in that last second I spotted something in the window of that house. It looked like an old man, and it looked like he was waving at us.